This is really fun. I'm so thrilled the show got a third season because it richly deserved it. The second season was phenomenal. Going into the third, there's a little bit of I would say, maybe a repair moment, I guess we could say, that things kind of get temporarily fixed, maybe.
Totally. We definitely leave the second season on a cliffhanger of being exposed as travelers, so we have to clean up that mess. Well, kind of throughout season
Maybe
3.
he's referring to the mess that you and I are in.
Oh, well,
There's a little bit of both.
That needs some repairing, I'll tell you.
That is true. Yeah, there's a lot of cleaning up in the third season to try to correct, everything that has come out.
And it does feel very much from the first episode like it's going to be very temporary. Is that kind of, I don't want to say teaser, but it does feel like things are tenuous for sure.
Well, one problem leads to another.
Right.
So even if they think that they've plugged that dam, there's so much pressure coming down on the travelers' teams and all the relationships that it can only be sustained for so long, episode by episode.
And the relationships are so key because otherwise, I mean, really, the job could be anything otherwise. But the fact that the relationships kind of ground them in this funny way that maybe, you wouldn't expect from the first season.
Totally. I mean, that's my favorite part of the show is how relationship-based it is, and especially with Patrick and I and our characters. We get to really explore that, and those are some of my favorite moments to film.
Yeah, and it's also it's a point of entry for a lot of fans who watch the show because they might not be able to relate to traveling through time, but they can relate to complicated relationships. So yeah, that kind of makes the show more personal and raises the stakes.
And especially because it's not just traditional time travel. I mean, the idea that anyone could suddenly be in anyone's body, it's like Body Snatchers meets time travel meets...
Quantum leap.
And Quantum Leap. And it's so much fun. And at the same time, it's always like that question mark of, well, now, who could this be?
Really, you never know. And I think we see that with 001, Jumping Bodies.
Right.
And
it's almost insidious, just the nature of that, yeah.
Yeah, and in my case, sometimes it goes wrong and you jump into the wrong body, and there's complications with that, and I think that's just like a really interesting thing that was written into the show too. And
this season, more so than the rest, I feel so far, has felt like more of an invasion. Like it feels a bit more nefarious in a lot of ways. I mean, the second had hints of that, but it's starting to feel like it's more of an invasion of the future.
The sheer number of travelers that have come in, I mean, yeah, it does feel like an invasion, but I think it also speaks to how serious the issue is in the future, that they need this many people to do it.
Right. So in terms of the relationship this season, what can you hint at? What's going to be coming up?
Well, I think for Marcy, for the relationship, she's very concerned about all of the stress that she's put on David and all the situations that she's put him into that have really put his safety into question. And so she's, very, very concerned with him at the start of the episode, or start of the season, sorry.
Mm-hmm. I've always likened David's life to a house of cards. He's very particular with how he's structured his life. And meeting MacKenzie is it's opened up this window that's a breath of fresh air, but it's knocking the house of cards down.
Right.
One thing that Brad Wright and the writers' teams have put out is that they're going to take every character and push them to their limits. And that's very clear, especially with David and Marcy.
And it seems like David has sprung back maybe the best out of everyone so far. He's like, yeah, whatever, we got kidnapped. Yeah, so far.
Yeah, he seems to just kind of roll with it, doesn't he? But when he's got someone like Marcy in his life, I think he's willing to do anything to keep her in it. And if that's, acquiescing to her craziness, then yeah, he'll do it.
And it seems too like...
Marcy.
Not me.
No.
Well, that was one thing I was going to ask is it seems like it's that tenuous thing again of who do they really love? Who do they really appreciate? And how does the new person, the traveler, fit into that relationship, I guess?
And I not to speak to you, but also just their prime directive is not the relationships, it's the mission.
Right.
And so, that those loyalties will get muddled.
I think it's cool though that we've, fallen in love 2 times
Off
already.
camera.
Surprise! No, but twice already. So it's like that's not everybody from the future, and this is in my head, I guess. But comes back for one reason and one reason only, and they don't think they're gonna face love or being a mother and like having that affect how they feel about things and affect the way they move forward in missions, and it really does. I mean, they're human first and foremost, and emotions come into play and everything.
Maybe you were sent back the past to meet me and fall in love with me.
No.
Does the whole idea too now of the AI versus the people almost, and the fallible nature of the AI as well, and it's part that, like, how well does it know the situation? Does this season, I assume, dig more into some of that kind of who's right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a primal story. This is Prometheus Unbound.
Right.
It.
What does that mean?
Oh, it's Frankenstein.
Oh.
But we're flirting with technology we don't know anything about, and playing God.
And the director has no emotion, and then I think you have people who have tons of emotion, and then somebody who doesn't, and that creates a lot of conflict.
Well, and the literal Deus Ex Machina every episode sometimes of the AI dropping in and just doing this thing, and it feels like the first episode of the season. There's more of that than I've seen maybe in the past. Mm-hmm. Is that something there's more coming of that?
I think so.
I guess it's hard to say, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We can't talk. We can't.
Brad Wright is listening in right now.
He's nodding, so yes. I can confidently say yes.
You know what? Sometimes the seasons, sometimes the episodes, mesh together a little bit too, because we read them and we shoot a couple at a time. So it's hard to remember.
Of course.
Specifically which episode.
Yeah.
Right. Well, is there something fun that's coming for the characters this season? Is there something?
It's nothing. Well, I was going to say it's nothing but fun.
Well, I meant in terms of playing the characters.
No,
too,
100%. I mean, as actors go, it was nothing but fun what they gave us, whether it was dark scenes or light scenes.
I feel like I have more fun with the dark scenes and the emotional scenes, or the fight scenes. It's always cool when you read a script and you get to do something crazy or something a little extreme. I think that's more fun as an actor.
Yeah. You remember when you pistol whipped my stunt double?
I did. I felt so bad. So we were training for this fight scene, and I was using a rubber gun every time we trained. And when we actually shot it, they gave me a real gun, and it was a lot heavier. And it just flew out of my hand and hit him dead in the forehead.
That's not the way I narrate that. She pistol whipped him, and then curb stomped him.
And then I tried to go on with the scene because I knew that they had got the stunt, and I was like, oh, and I just.
Right.
And like a typical stuntman, he was just like, "Oh, I'm fine. He's swelling up.
I know. Oh, it was bad.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything you hope for the characters that you hope, before the end of the series that they get to experience or do or, live through, accomplish?
Well, there's one episode in the third season that we actually kind of flash to maybe some situations that could happen between them. And it would be amazing if some of those actually, were in the fourth season, those situations. So I'd love to see their relationship go even further and maybe have babies.
On a personal level, yeah, I'd love to see babies. But as a fan of the show, it's more interesting when there's that conflict, that moonlighting scenario of will they, won't they?
That's probably more likely than babies.
Good reference to moonlighting. That's
and what was it? Their second or third season when they get together and the show just kind of
fizzles,
yeah. And that's what makes Marcy and David so exciting, is that the relationship seems so impossible that we all want to believe that there's a way to make it work because we're all romantics, but luckily the show is based in reality, and we'll see. I'm looking at Brad. Is he nodding?
Yeah. Our writers over there are like, give us some hints. We don't know. We don't know what's about to happen, so we'll be just as surprised and excited as all the viewers.
Awesome. Thank you both very much.
Thank you
so much.